So the series that we're starting is Train to Win, developing the core strengths of Christian faith. Now, some of you may have recently, in the last few years, read about core strength. You may have heard it while watching the Olympics about core strength. For a while there, a lot of folks thought that core strength meant having strong abs. For those of you who know me, know that that's where my background is in health and fitness. This is what I did in what I call my previous life, and for 33 years. So my friends would say that when I started to do strength and conditioning, I started to personal train, that once I got knowledgeable in core strength, that my daughter, my son-in-law, particularly my oldest daughter and son-in-law, would say that they could get me a conversation about fitness, and they and my friends would start taking bets on how long it would take me to say the word core fitness, or the phrase. Unfortunately, they were usually right. It was less than a minute or two, and I was off on my little tangent about that. But in having watched the Olympics, and I'm assuming a lot of us have at least been picking it up on the news or something, in doing that, has it made you feel at all more like you wanted to maybe go out and get into shape a little bit? Wow, not at all, huh? Wow. And that was, and for the guests, that was my wife, okay? Okay. You know, but maybe some of you younger folks, you know, there was a neat commercial on when, it's a commercial of the, I forget her first name, the Sony girl swimming, and she sets a new world record. You see the young girls coming into the kitchen, her hair's wet, obviously coming out from swimming practice, and she walks over and writes down the new time on the refrigerator as her new goal. My new goal is, and she writes the new world record time on. You know, for younger folks, does it make you think, gee, maybe I should think about that and set a goal and make it something a little bit harder than what I thought. You know, if you heard the story of Gabby, our gymnast, when she was winning hers, it was just 4 years ago that she sat and watched Dominique Dawes. And she watched Dominique Dawes, and at that point she looked at her parents and she said, that's what I'm going to do with gymnastics. I want to be a gold medal winner, just like that. And now she is. On Friday, a young girl from Bethesda jumped in the pool to swim 800 meters. I'm sorry, folks, that's a long ways to swim. And she jumped in the pool, took off so fast that nobody thought she would ever finish. And she not only finished, but she finished just short of a new world record, and she won a gold at age 15. And when they interviewed her at the end, they said, what were you thinking? What was going on? She goes, I watched Missy swim and Michael swim, and I just got so excited that by the time it came to my race, I wasn't even thinking. I just jumped in the pool and took off. Amazing stories. You know, but none of them started as champions. All of them have had failures in their life. Even to the point that I understand that Gabby's parents are still looking for donations to try to help them pay off the debt when they finally agreed to send their child off to Idaho to the training center. At like 15, they sent their child away because the only way was to turn them over to the U.S. Olympic Committee to pay for all the gymnastics. These things are real-life events. But you know, I'm going to go back a little bit because all of these athletes had to begin with a little God-given skill. Let's be honest. There's a certain amount of God-given ability there. Some of them have had to work harder to get where they are than others. Some of them, though, found it to be easy. But all of them have had a strength and conditioning coach. Now, normally I'm a little more casual, but being Holy Communion, we're there. Maybe some of you are wondering why the stick was here. I told Gene it was so I could walk around and keep people awake in service like the Puritans did. But actually, this is part of what's called a functional movement screen, a test. And you would test each athlete now in a functional movement screen. And what we would look for is, can they make a complete squat? Can they make a lunge? Can they support their body in what's a plank type of position and alternate hands? Because those are the basic things that all people have to do, athletes or not. We actually use these. A lot of PTs are using these now for older adults. How many people have watched either your kids, your niece, your nephew, your grandkids, or someone squat at the beach and play in the sand with their little butt all the way down on their heels and their chest sitting straight up, and they squat and they sit there for an hour? Now, I don't know about you, but I can't get there. All right? And everybody says we can't get there because we're just older. And in reality, not true. We don't get there because we quit going there. So the first test that I would do on one of my student athletes is to find out if they can squat. Because you know what one of the first strength exercises is I want to teach them? I want to teach them a weighted squat. I want to put weights on them and squat them. But you know what? If they can't squat, then what happens to them if I put 100 pounds on top of them and then squat them? Yeah, you guys aren't even in the field, and you're going, ooh, no. We need to find out if they squat first. So I would ask them to take this bar about shoulder width apart. And Wayne, it's a good thing that Terry and Jeff are working there, because you, my young man, were going to be my victim. And Terry's going to move and let you out if you want to slide up. See? Come on up, I promise. It won't be painful. And since you've already said Wayne did some work in the downstairs for us, he's already cut his hand and damaged himself here, so we've already got him on the accident report. It's not a problem. All right, just grab that. You just hold it straight up above your head. Okay? Arm. Try to get your arm straight. You can turn and look at the crowd. They can cheer. Right? Now, ideally, we like to get this behind his head a little bit. And now, get your feet shoulder width apart. Shoulder width. Yeah, good. And I'd like you to try to squat and get as low as you can. Okay?
No.
Just go as far as you can. All right, now. Okay, he's getting pretty close. His knees are behind his toes. That's a good thing. But you notice where his chest went? That's called a compensation. Now, I'm not going to go into all the diagnosis of that, but there's things there. So we would have to work on that. And what I'd probably do, I'd give him a heel lift first. We'd do some things. But because he can't squat, why would I load weight on him? Well, all of these athletes started like Wayne did. It's amazing. Some of the best athletes probably don't squat as well as he does. Thanks, man. I appreciate you. I won't embarrass you anymore. You did a great job. So the deal is, though, to get them from that position and to get them to squat all the way down and get their butt down and back of their heels and in that position. So how do we get them there? What does that have to do with anything that has to do with what we're talking about this morning? My point is that we are all in a position, just like the athletes were, to expect a failure. The greatest athletes in the world are also known as the greatest compensators. Wayne's been pretty active in his life, and my guess is if we went out and we got out on a picnic and we started playing games, that his body would probably squat. In a fast-moving game, he would probably squat and never even think about it. Problem is, there's going to be a payback because he wasn't prepared for it. All right?
Don't bet on what he's saying.
Yeah. Christianity is not much different. We have got to get functional before we can be good Christians, whatever that is. And what happens is we tend to quit because we're not good enough. We evaluate ourselves harder than God does. We look at our lives and we go, you know what, it's just terrible. Said, I can't do that. Said, I don't read the Bible enough. I don't pray enough. I'm just not a good Christian. But the phrase, it just drives me nuts. And yet in reality, when we talk about it in the end, we'll talk about what that actually means. And you know what? Wayne has the opportunity now to say, okay, I can't squat. Now what will happen is his injury will probably not be in his knees. It may very well be in his back, in the middle of his chest. In fact, we know that when we assess that most knee injuries are because of an ankle or hip issue. Believe it or not, the knee is the symptom, many times. But he gets to start anytime he wants. If he wants to start getting in shape, if you want to start getting in shape, you can start anytime you want to. No one's holding you back. That is what Christianity is. If we are training to win, then we have the chance to begin anytime. You know, actually, I wanted to even refer to it as this whole idea of getting a gold medal from God. And this idea that we're going to be in better shape than what we are now tomorrow. Each and every day. But to get the gold medal, we have got to start and get functional. We've got to be able to do the basics. So if you want to get in shape and you feel motivated, then consider this. Wesley described grace in 3 stages, which was really unique at the time when Wesley did it, and a lot of theologians have adopted this across all denominations. And Wesley understood this. He understood that grace was the active presence of God. You know, some of you, as I said, didn't sound like many, but some of you may feel motivated to be getting in shape. There's something calling you and saying, you know, I just got to stop eating the Twinkies and the double cheeseburgers and the fries. And, you know, I said every time I walk by the mirror, just, you know, one of these days I'm going to start getting in shape. Well, Wesley would have called that, in your faith walk, he would have called that prevenient grace. Meaning you were created in God's image. And part of being created in God's image was to put, for lack of a better term, a little GPS homing device that keeps telling you there's something more in this life than what you've got. Constantly being beaconed back home. Home being God. So that prevenient grace is that thing in your life that says, you know, I've got to read the Bible. Or there's something calling me to change life. There's something calling me to go visit this place. There's something calling me to step up and go to Our Daily Bread and serve at this place where 700 people come and eat meals, and most of them are homeless. Or I'm being called to do something, to maybe teach a Bible study or whatever. There's something calling me to change my life. And Wesley called that the prevenient grace. And he said that, again, that's God active in our lives. Just like that feeling like, one day I just got to get in shape. You know, said I may never be in the Olympics, but I got to do something. God's grace kind of stirs up within us this desire to find out who God is. And we don't even know where it comes from. At times we do things in our life and go, you know, I don't know how I ended up in that church. I don't know how I ended up talking about religion. I don't know how I ended up picking up that Bible in that hotel room. Or picking up that Bible in that rehab center. When I was there and my life was spiraling down and out of control, why did I pick up that Bible? That's God saying, I'm over here. I'm over here. So prevenient grace is that still small voice, that tug at the heart that pulls you. Then Wesley said, there's stage 2. So you feel this tug and you feel this call to get in shape. And then he says, then there's a justifying grace. I don't know, but I'll bet there's some of you in the room felt that way about getting in shape because you've decided that you really don't deserve to be in shape. You've probably decided, you know, you screwed up your life with the cheeseburgers, you screwed up your life with sitting around, or whatever has happened, and you've messed up your life to the point that, you know, I'll just deal with the health conditions. You know, I'll take the heart disease, I'll take my chances and I'll keep taking the pills. Whatever the case is, you know, it's just easier to not, and I probably don't deserve it anyway. I'm telling you, most of us are that way in Christianity. Most of the folks who aren't here today, who are outside looking at us saying, oh, those do-gooders, you know, they don't think they're better than we are. Because they feel like they're not worthy. The church has failed. The church has failed them. Why? Why is it? Because justifying grace is stage 2. And justifying grace is this: Jesus Christ. You're right. We have no right to go to God and say, I need you to be my trainer. And that's that part that we tend to dwell on in the church. Oh, you're not worthy. You're bad. You're bad. But God says, but I want you. I want you really bad. I want you so bad that I'm going to send my son. He's going to die. He's going to pay the price. And that is it. It is that simple. It's not that easy, but it's that simple. In fact, if you grew up in the church at all, one of the first verses that you ever learned was, God so loved the world that he gave his only son, that whoever believes in him will not die, but have eternal life. Why did we learn that first? Because that's it in a nutshell. That's justifying grace. That allows us to go to God. It doesn't matter where we've been. It doesn't matter where we were last night. It doesn't matter whether we failed marriages or our kids have failed marriages or whether we have failed with addiction or whatever has happened. It doesn't matter. God loves you so much that he sent his only son. He wants you to have a chance to do it all over again from the beginning. This is the dimension of God's grace that's a gift. God's grace alone brings us into a relationship, which is what he wants. Now, this is not a stage of grace, but there is something that many of the theologians say falls between justification and sanctification. Now, these are big church words. I don't like to use those much, but I try to explain them out. So, and that is conversion. Okay? All right, Rick. I felt this call to get in shape. I know I probably don't deserve it, but I want you to be my trainer. All right? I'm going to commit to the next 3 months. Whatever you tell me to do, we're going to go to the gym, not go to the gym, whatever it is, and you're going to train me. All right? And I'm going to trust you that you know what there has to be done. Now, in this commitment, though, in my case, I'm going to say you need a doctor's release, depending on your age. I need to know about your medications because your heart rate is going to vary depending on what kind of medication that you're going to take. But you've made the commitment. You've made the conversion. It's not going to be easy. And it's not going to go smooth. The first couple of days are going to feel good, and then that 48-hour delay is going to kick in, and you're going to hurt so bad that you've never realized that you could hurt that bad in your whole life. And you're going to slide back and say, I want to quit. God understands that. Not about your fitness. He understands it about your conversion. That a lot of you are afraid to convert. A lot of you are afraid to commit your life to Christ because you know you're going to fail. God knows that too. But he's asked you to come. He's given you the free gift. You're saved by that grace. So you're converted and saved by that grace. And Wesley says that there was no religion, as I already said, that wasn't a social religion. Well, that's the sanctified metal part. Grace and sanctifying in the third stage is when your life starts to look like what you said you believed in. You know, it's like going to the gym. How many of you lost weight and it was probably 15 or 20 pounds off before anybody ever noticed? You know, the whole time you're working to lose weight, you're getting in shape, and you realize that you can go up and down the stairs and you're not out of breath. And you know, nobody said a word to me. That's frustrating. Sometimes that's just how our Christian faith is. We're trying to get in shape, and people are looking at us going, oh, you're just the same guy, just the same guy. And then all of a sudden, our friends find out we signed up to go on a mission trip. Our friends signed up. They found out that we signed up to lead a Bible study. Our friends found out that we were getting up in the morning and reading the Bible, even though we didn't even half the time understand what we were reading, but we were doing it. Wesley says that's the sanctifying grace. That's the grace of God saying, now your life is showing and doing things. That didn't save you. But your life, as the book of James says, faith without works is empty. Now you're living and now you're feeling like, oh, it feels good to do this. It feels good to get up and go work out at the gym now because I've been at it for 2 months. It was not feeling good the first month. Christianity is the same way. We're developing step by step. Grace is the beginning of becoming a sanctified medal winner. And the grace is free. You've heard, you've been hearing this call, this thing that pulls you in a certain direction, and I guarantee you this is that it's God who has not rejected anyone. God wants us all to be in relationship. He wants us, just like our trainer wants us, to give up the double cheeseburger and fries and see how good it is on the other side. God is calling us, not because we're worthy, but because of what Christ did for us. That's how we train to win in Christianity. In other words, you're going to commit to the conversion, and then you're going to start the program. And then you're going to go into a slump. For us baseball guys, it becomes a big deal. I mean, so we go into slumps. And what makes a good baseball player from an average is the one that can recover from the slump. In sports like football, you only get 16 games. You go into a slump, there's not much time to recover. And people go, I'm done. Christianity, we feel like that. I'm right back to where I was. No, you're just one day new into your new challenge. Just like the 12 steps says. You lost your sobriety and now you're sober for one day. Working again for another 3 years or whatever it is. Step by step. Christianity is so much like real life because God understands us. He knows us. He made us. He said today we can start that new relationship in each of our lives. And it can begin at this table as you come. In the United Methodist Church, this table is open to anyone. It's an opportunity to come and say, Lord, forgive me. Lord, I want to start again because of what you did for me, not for what I did or anybody else did. Today, we can begin training for the gold medal. And that gold medal is given to us the opportunity as free gets. And it's called grace. So the answer today is as simple as, will you say yes to grace? God has already said yes to each and every one of us. He's just waiting for us. And you don't have to pay him $30 to $100 an hour as your trainer. It really is free.